Paratmanamekam Jagadbijamadyam Niriham Nirakaram Omkar Vedyam Yato Jayate Palyate Yena Vishwam Tanisham Bhajaliyate Vatra Vishwam. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. At the very outset, my very reverential pranams to Revered Swami Muktidananda Maharaj, and my pranams to all of the sadhus, Matajis sitting here, and my pranams to all of you. God in so many forms, Brahman in so many forms. Because what I am going to talk about, that is the essential idea of Hinduism. First of all, I have to thank profusely Revered Swami Muktidananda Maharaj for his very affectionate invitation to me to come here and talk upon this very extremely timely subject, the subject of regeneration of Hinduism. Now, this is a very vast subject, truly speaking, and in a short time of around 1 hour, how much we can do justice to it, this will be always a question. But let's try. I'm just going to keep before all of you a series of points and ideas. And whatever I'm going to talk about, let me, right in the beginning, present this disclaimer. All these are my views, and I take the responsibility about what I am talking. What I am going to talk, it is my conviction. Anyone is free to disagree with my points. But what I have understood by reading the Shastras, and especially our hero Swami Vivekananda, it is from that standpoint I am going to present whatever views that I have on this important subject of regeneration of Hinduism. Today morning when I came from Calcutta to Bengaluru in the flight, when I was looking down from the window, seeing the beautiful terrain of this great land called Bharatvarsha. Now see, we have to have some emotional connect with this soil. Let me first convey this idea very stressfully. You see, this is very important. When I was looking at the terrain, the beautiful, it's not that all the details were visible, but we can see the plains and the mountains, the plains and the mountains, the flowing rivers. It was visible from the window of the plane. And I was just wondering, you see, this body is made up of that very soil which I was seeing from the flight. Here, everyone's body is made up of that very soil which we refer to as this great Punya Bhumi Bharat. Swami Vivekananda would become literally emotional. His eyes would turn red with tears whenever he spoke about this great Punya Bhumi Bharat. That is the kind of a connect which we also need to cultivate. This connection somewhere, I don't know whether it's really, can we impose it on somebody? I don't know, perhaps, but if you ask me, it is very naturally there in us. Maybe it is the result of the kind of upbringing we had in our homes. That may be one reason. Or some kind of a patriotic feeling which is running in our nerves. It is very much needed today, in today's scenario. A nationalistic spirit, a tremendous love for this land. It is a need of the hour. And when you talk about India, Bharatvarsha, this great Punya Bhumi, you cannot talk about it without talking about its soul. The soul of this great Punya Bhumi is Hindu Dharma. Hindu Dharma is a very recent term. Actually, it refers to the Vaidika Dharma. The very soul of this land is the great system of thought, which is known as the Vedic system of thought. So, when I was looking into the wonderful terrain from the plane, I was just visualizing this land. Just imagine the oldest civilization in the world. The oldest culture existing in the world. Many cultures and civilizations have come and disappeared in the timeline of history. But this is a living civilization whose beginning cannot be pinpointed. Nobody exactly knows when this civilization started. And you see, all that the present day human society is trying to approximate in the form of excellence. This civilization had already attained those things in the most, in the hoary past. This civilization had attained to the heights of civilizational glory. Now, this is not just poetry, I'm not just emotionally blabbering something. It is recorded. When the Western countries were not even born at that time, this great Bharatavarsha and our ancestors, this great Arya Bhumi, Aryavarta, we are all Aryaputras. Our great ancestors, they had touched the zenith of glory in all areas. That zenith which today we are trying to touch. Swami Vivekananda says in many places, that's why it's very important to see. I'm just going to throw some scattered ideas before all of you. You have to organize it. I leave the task of organizing to you all. Something which is coming to my mind, I'm just throwing it to you. You take it. Vivekananda says, education. Where did education exist? Education has not even started in the modern times. There is nowhere education in the world. It will be shocking. You may be thinking, I'm talking like a mad person, or Vivekananda was talking like a mad person. He says, education has not even started anywhere in the world. And if at all there existed any true education, that was in this Bharatvarsha. What was that education that he was referring to? See, I'm going to come to the main point of Hindu Dharma, the Vaidika Dharma. The kind of education system which existed in this land. Today we are trying to once again touch that glory. The West has not had, the West even now doesn't know about what this true education system is. It is just half the story. Half of the story has not been told. But that complete picture of education existed only in this land and only in this land. So, you see, when we look at this in beautiful Indian subcontinent, you can see that here there has been waves of civilizational glory rising and touching the zenith, and from there falling down into the darkness, into the pits of darkness. This has been going on. If you just look into the history of so-called the Indian subcontinent, here you will find waves of cultural and civilizational glory touching the skies of glory, and from there again falling into the pits of darkness. Again the wave rises to touch the sky. Again it begins to fall down, to go into the pits of darkness. This has been the story of this great Bharatvarsha, this Aryavarta, this rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall. Now, what is this phenomenon of rise and fall, civilizational rise and then fall into the pits of darkness. What is this? How do we understand it? When I look into it very carefully, what I understand is, you see, when we talk about Hindu Dharma is essentially Vaidika Dharma. And in the Vedas, you all may be knowing, I'm just touching upon that point. It is not possible for me to elaborate on it in this short span of, say, 45 minutes. Vedas have got two portions, Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. You know that. Now this, what I have been referring to as the rise of civilization and then fall into the pits of darkness, again rise of the civilizational glory, this tussle, it is a tussle between Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. What do I mean by saying that it is a tussle between Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda? When the entire society becomes buried only in Karma Kanda without reference to Jnana Kanda, the degeneration starts. Again, I repeat this point. The story of Indian history can be understood as a tussle between Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. We are talking about regeneration of Hinduism. Our topic of this discussion is what? It is regeneration of Hinduism. But to understand regeneration, we have to first understand degeneration. How do we degenerate? And what are the characteristics or traits of a degenerated state? So that from there we can once again trigger or stimulate the forces which can bring about a regeneration. So, the history of India, especially I'm talking about India, this is applicable to other places also, but in a very technical sense, if you just look into the history of India, where we find this kind of a rise and fall of civilization taking place periodically, it is essentially the tussle between Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. Whenever the Indian society got buried, I'm using the term buried, you bury yourself, is it not? When all the energies of the human beings get buried into only Karma Kanda with no reference to Jnana Kanda, the degeneration begins. Karma Kanda with no reference to Jnana Kanda is pure materialism, selfishness. Human energy completely invested only in one's own selfish, petty endeavors and strivings, which then takes all kinds of obnoxious forms in the form of fragmentation of society, formation of different groups, and each group claiming superiority over the other groups, which finally, today, whenever anybody, Hinduism is the most attacked religion in the world. And the one ground on which everybody is so easily attacking Hinduism is this caste. And this caste is totally a social phenomenon. Let me tell you one thing. This caste has got nothing to do with the true Hindu Dharma, Vaidika Dharma. Every Hindu should know this point. This caste, this term caste, it is an invention of the European academics. In our true Vaidika Dharma, the term is Varnashrama Dharma. I can't go into the details of this point. What do we mean by Varna and how it got degenerated into this very ugly idea called caste. Anyhow, but we can't deny one point. In the last 1,000 years, if we just look into the Indian history and Indian society, nobody can deny that our society was completely fragmented into small groups based upon, certain traits by birth, Jati Vyavastha. And it degenerated to such an extent that the entire society had literally taken the most ugliest form. But this has got nothing to do with the original Vaidika Dharma and Hindu Dharma. There is no place for this kind of a caste system or Jati Vyavastha in the Vedas or in the Hindu Dharma. It is not there. Nowhere it is there. So, from where was this caste system actually born? Caste system is totally a creation of certain corrupt minds. Corrupt minds totally buried in Karma Kanda who want only their privileges to be preserved, who want all selfish things, their selfish interests to be served. And that is how this whole system of formation of small groups and one group claiming superiority of the others, these are all the concoctions and creations of certain corrupt human beings, which has got no reference in our Shastras. Absolutely no. Every Hindu should know that the true Hindu dharma, in that there is no place for this kind of jati vyavastha or caste system. So what I want to say is that, you see, whenever we talk about the degeneration is essentially the phenomenon where the entire society gets buried into pure karma kanda with no reference to jnana kanda itself. Now, what is this jnana kanda and what is this karma kanda? As I said, karma kanda essentially is pure materialism, where this world is everything, and then I, the individual, the jiva is everything, then whatever I do, it is for all mine. Sensory gratification. I want the best things, sensory things for myself to enjoy. I want heaven, I want this loka, that loka, and for that I do all kinds of things. I then worship different so-called deities, this deity, that deity. Based upon these deities, we begin to form small groups. The entire society then becomes fragmented and compartmentalized into small groups, and every group claims superiority over the other group. They keep on fighting with each other. This is what is the face of degeneration which we have seen in the last 1,000 years, which has got nothing to do with the true face of Hindu dharma. When jnana kanda disappears, when jnana kanda goes into oblivion, the degeneration starts. Now, what is this jnana kanda? Jnana kanda is the true religion. The true religion starts when we rise above the karma kanda and enters into the domain of jnanam. Vedas is what? Vedam, its knowledge is jnanam. The true religion is what? It's all jnana kanda. Interestingly, you will see that at every juncture, whenever, as I said, India has seen waves of civilizational glory touching the zenith, and from there the wave again diving deep into the pits of darkness. It is happening. And every time the wave falls into the pit of darkness, one great personality comes. And what does this great personality do? He brings back jnana kanda into the lives of the common man. How is this society regenerated? By once again breathing fresh life into the dead bones of religion, by once again awakening the jnana kanda spirit, the jnana kanda drishti. All the great avatars did the same thing. The strategy is same. Krishna, what did he do? When the entire, if you just look into the scenario of pre-Krishna time, the entire society completely buried in karma kanda, with no reference to jnana kanda. Krishna comes, brings back from the ocean of the Vedas, he turns that ocean and brings back the jnana kanda and presents to the entire world. And what does jnana kanda talk about? Atman, only one thing. Again, see, now we are going to touch upon very sensitive things. What is God? There is no other God apart from the Atman and Brahman. All the so-called different forms, they are only different doorways to come to this experience of the Atman. There is no mention of any personality in the Upanishads and the Vedas. It's all the pure, the true nature of the human being, which is consciousness, which is the Atman, which is the Brahman. And all the great teachers, they came once again to present this real religion to the common masses. Krishna came as a great reviver of the Jnana Kanda. What did he teach in the Bhagavad Gita? Only Atman. Take Arjun, know your true nature, and now you see what you can do. Your confusions are gone. From a degenerated state, the man is regenerated. If a man is regenerated, the society can be regenerated based upon the Jnana Kanda. When we talk about regeneration of Hinduism, this is the strategy. Krishna, after Krishna, you can take the next big example. Buddha, the pre-Buddhistic phase, utter degeneration. What? Entire society completely drowned and buried in karma kanda. Buddha comes. What did he do? Completely rejects karma kanda, brings back jnana kanda, the true nature of the human being. Which God did he preach? He preached only Atman, nothing else. Again, 1,000 years later, once again the entire society goes into this marshy mud of Karmakanda with no reference to Jnanakanda, and a great teacher comes, the great Shankara. What did he do? Again, he brings back the Jnanakanda, the Atman. Again, after 1,000 years after Shankara, we find the same situation in the 19th century. See, we are talking about regeneration of Hinduism. How is this Hinduism going to be regenerated? We should understand what Hinduism stands for. What is the essential teaching of Hindu Dharma or the Vaidika Dharma? In pre-Vivekananda, if you just look into the scenario, the social scenario, the 1,000 years, as I said, the entire city, Swami Vivekananda puts it in a very simple term, the whole religion has gone into the kitchen pot. The kitchen pot has become the god, and the whole, that kitchen has become the altar. Means what? It's all karmakanda and karmakanda and karmakanda, all selfishness. Entire human society broken and fragmented into small groups, each group fighting with each other, one group worshipping this deity, another group worshipping that deity. This is the situation which can be seen before the advent of all such great masters. Again, Vivekananda comes. Sri Ramakrishna comes. When I talk about Vivekananda, it is Sri Ramakrishna. What did Sri Ramakrishna show? Again, going back, brought back the religion of the Upanishads, the true nature of the human being. Recently we celebrated the 1st January, Kalpataru Day. What was the blessing that he gave to everybody there? Let your spiritual consciousness be awakened. What other God? It is spiritual consciousness. Right here, right now. Not this form, that form. It is the awakening. It is the awakening of your own understanding about your true self. Who you are, who I am. So this is how you find in the history of India, you will see this phenomenon of rise and fall is essentially a tussle between Jnanakanda and Karmakanda. Presently, the Hindu society has once again gone down into this karmakandic kind of a framework from where Ramakrishna and Vivekananda have come to rescue it by once again bringing back the Jnanakanda, the Jnana portion, the true religion, which is the religion of the Atman. This we can see happening. Now when we talk about regenerating Hinduism, the essential point is this. The Hindus themselves have to be first educated about what Hinduism is. Hinduism as it is visible on the surface is one thing. Hinduism as, in the forms of, as I said, when Karmakanda dominates and Jnanakanda disappears, that will be the death of the true religion. And then from there, once again, it has to be regenerated by bringing back the Jnanakanda. It is just like a seed, I'm just visualizing a seed. A seed is inside the earth, in the mud. And suppose if the earth is barren, there is no nutrients in the soil, nothing is there, and the seed will begin to dismantle. Degeneration means dismantling. The seed is getting dismantled, it is getting disintegrated, it is getting dissolved, it is dying. When the Jnanakanda disappears, the true religion will begin to disintegrate, it will begin to dismantle, it will begin to dissolve, it will begin to die. It will pant for a few breaths to keep itself alive. At such a juncture, a great teacher comes. Once again, he breathes afresh, he brings the needed nutrients into that soil, and he breathes fresh air into that situation, and the dying seed begins to become alive, and from that seed comes out the fresh sprout of true religion. This is what precisely Vivekananda and Sri Ramakrishna has done in the 19th century. The dying seed of this great Vaidika Dharma, if you just look into it, 19th century situation, the entire, just like in pre-Shankara situation, the entire Vaidika Dharma was literally on the verge of disappearance, literally on the verge of disappearance in so many ways. I cannot go into the details of all those things. But to put it in a simple one sentence, the entire Hindu dharma was on the verge of disappearance in pre-Shankara time and pre-Vivekananda time, owing to several reasons. And these great teachers, they come and once again they revive it, just like reviving the dying seed. And from that, the sprout comes out. The sprout turns into a beautiful sapling over a period of time. And the sapling will grow into becoming a big trunk and a big tree in course of time. Now, Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda is just 125, 130 years phenomenon. The process of regenerating the seed of dharma has started. It will take time. It will take time for the seed to become a sapling. It has become a sapling. But to become a strong, unshakable tree, it will take time. It happens over a period of several centuries. But we have certain things to do in this situation. We have to ensure that the seed, the sapling is kept alive. Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda, they came and they breathed fresh breath into the seed, and the seed is now growing. We all have got a responsibility to water it, to nurture it, and to ensure that it grows in the right direction. Now, that is the main subject here. How are we going to regenerate Hindu dharma? The first and most foremost point when we talk about regenerating Hindu dharma is the Hindus themselves have to be first educated about what true Hinduism is. Just now, a little while ago, I went to see that Vivek Smaraka, and I came to know how, the biggest enemy of the Hindu is the Hindu himself. I'm going to speak very bluntly. I'm a sannyasi, I've got no hatred for anybody. But facts are facts. We should know what is evil and what is good. And evil has to be handled the way evil deserves to be handled. Often what happens in the name of religion, we literally speaking, we surrender our common sense at the altar of religious superstition. I always tell this. In the name of religion, in the name of certain religious practices, we surrender our so-called common sense at the altar of religious superstition. No, common sense is very important. The common sense which proceeds from Jnanakanda. That is what precisely Krishna was teaching Arjuna. The true philosophy of life is what? You don't have to turn the pages of any books, this book and that book. The philosophy is very simple. Jnanakandam, Atman. Knowing one's own true nature and the common sense which proceeds from there in our transactional plane, we should be able to understand what is evil and what is good and handle good and evil the way they deserve to be handled. There is no one way of responding to all the situations. Situations will vary. Sometimes it will be intimidating. Sometimes it will be overpowering. Sometimes it will be favorable. Situations are going to be different. And every situation has to be handled the way it deserves to be handled. The response is always not the one. The responses have to change. This is the use of common sense coming from the vision of oneness. Atman. This is precisely what Sri Krishna was teaching Arjuna. See, I'm talking about regenerating our society. Unless we have the right vision, a confused, a foggy kind of a situation, we don't see anything clearly, and we do things which we are not supposed to do, and we don't do things which we are supposed to do. This is precisely which is happening in Hindu society today. We have the greatest wisdom with us. Unfortunately, no one knows about it. So as I said, the first biggest challenge for all the Hindus in this country will be, not only in this country, wherever a Hindu is staying. See, I'm telling certain things may sound to be a bit fanatic and dogmatic. Hinduism is the only community which is non-communal. Definitely Hinduism is the greatest system existing in the world. I'm not just emotionally talking about it. I'm not fanatically talking about it. There is justifiable reason to make such a claim that Hinduism is the only true religion. Swami Vivekananda speaks about Hinduism as the only true religion. Why Hinduism is the only true religion? This is the only religion which has not cut the throats of other people in the history of humanity. All of the faiths, Their history is written in blood, violence, massacre, decimation of civilizations, cultures all over the world. How can those systems be absolutely true? It's a big question. I'm going to throw certain ideas to you. Every idea can be thought about. How can those religions be absolutely true, becoming the cause of this kind of a widespread bloodshed and massacre, which is going on even today. Even today it is going on. We know. I don't want to take the names. The moment I take the names, I'll be crucified. I know that. This is the problem. But I'm ready to be crucified because I love my land, I love my dharma, I love humanity. What am I saying? It is meant for the betterment and the well-being of the entire human race. Why conflicts? Why violence? Why hatred? The only system which never spoke about hatred is this Hindu dharma. All of the faiths, sometimes, evil can masquerade as a religion. I'm repeating the sentence. Sometimes evil can camouflage in the form of good. How do you distinguish between what is evil and what is good? Shankaracharya in his works beautifully he says, when we have an incomplete picture of reality, mark my words, this is Shankara Bhashya. When you have an incomplete picture of reality, that incomplete picture of reality will be affected or will be having the defect of Raga and Dvesha. It's a very profound statement. He's saying that any system which doesn't have the complete picture of reality, the partial picture of reality, the different faith systems which is existing in the world, they're all having partial picture of reality. Yesterday, one young girl came to my office in Calcutta. She's a Muslim. And she is a staunch Vedantin in her practice. And she's telling me, Swamiji, no monotheistic system can ever be universal. She's telling, how true it is. Monotheism can never embrace everyone in one embrace. It is not possible. Monotheism means what? One God in a certain form, existing somewhere outside this world, and you worship, you go there after death, and all these things are just belief systems, which cannot be verified. And if you have one idea of your idea of God, then it is a fight between your idea of God and my idea of God. Now, Hindu dharma is not monotheism. It is Advaita. Again, I'm talking about Jnana Kandam. It is this Jnana Kandam alone which is going to save the humanity. It is going to save the Hindu society. It is going to save India. It is going to save the humanity. This is the only system. I have to find it. It may sound fanatic. I can't help it. Because history has proved this Hindu society is the only society which has never cut the throat of other people, whereas all other faiths, we know their history. Why? Definitely it has to be defective. It cannot be correct. Even today it is going on. In the name of so-called these faiths, it's going on. Whereas this is the only system where we have never gone into the neighbor's house and slit their throats. It never we have done it. We cannot even think. We don't have any enemy. Now, we don't have an enemy doesn't mean that we are going to be foolish also. This is another point. There are so many things which are coming to my mind, I sometimes feel, today Hindus have to be a little bit fanatic. Hindus need a little bit of healthy fanaticism. It is good. Why I'm saying, you see, you cannot attain to the state of sattva directly from tamas. A society which is completely drowned in tamasic vritti, suddenly it is talking about sattva guna. How is it going to be sattvic without going through some rajasic spirit? Today we are talking about, people who do not have any individuality, they talk about universalism. Can you become universal without first being an individual, a strong individual? It is only a strong individual who can have ideas of universalism, who can dare stand and embrace the entire world as my family. No matter which faith you profess, I embrace you. It comes from a very strong individuality. Today, Hindus need that kind of an individuality, a good, healthy pride. A little bit of fanaticism is good for the Hindu society. Otherwise, we become like a flesh with no bones. A boneless flesh. You just imagine a flesh which has got no bone. How is this flesh going to stand? For the flesh to stand together, it needs a bone. We need the spine. We need the spinal column. A little bit of pride, a little bit of fanaticism will do good to the Hindu society today. Otherwise, another big disease is, secularism. As I said, we Hindus are the biggest. We Hindus means especially the English-educated Hindus. Let me be very blunt about it. This modern education system, they turn us into boneless flesh, spineless people, with no pride in one's own civilization, with no pride in one's own ancestry. You don't have pride in your own father and your forefathers. What kind of a human being we are? Our blood should begin to boil when we think about our ancestry, the great ancestry. That is the kind of pride which every Hindu should have, every Indian should have. So, we are talking about secularism. Just imagine, we, especially Hindus, are the most, the proponents of this great idea of secularism without actually knowing their own religion. They don't know anything about their own dharma and they profess secularism. Do you know, if at all secularism means accepting everyone equally, then Hindu dharma is the only dharma which is secular, and this is the only society which has practiced it. Everywhere it is only on the paper. Even today it is only on the paper. It is this Hindu society only which lives secularism. It is there in our DNA. We don't have to get the idea of secularism from European academics. It is there in our DNA. If secularism means accepting everybody as our own, then it is the Hindu society alone which has lived it. Swami Vivekananda talks about it in his complete works. Do we have to learn the lessons of secularism from the West? So Hindus, before the so-called English-educated Hindus, before they talk about secularism, they should first know their own dharma, the glory of Hindu dharma. This is what I was saying. If you want to regenerate Hinduism, the Hindu society, they have to be first educated about Hinduism, what this Hinduism is. Many times when I look into our present day, our youngsters, these boys and girls sitting, they have absolutely no idea about what this great system is. What a wonderful thing. Now I was just referring to this Jnana-kanda. What is this Jnana-kanda? Jnana-kanda refers to that unifying principle. How can the entire humanity be unified? By monotheistic ideas of God? Some God sitting beyond the heavens, beyond the clouds, up there, and you wait to go there. All this Swami Vivekananda says it is good for mustached babies. To put in Vivekananda's language, Swamiji says it is good for mustached babies or kindergarten children. Is the present day humanity groomed in modern physical science and scientific principles? Will they be satisfied with these, mumbo jumbo and all kinds of superstitions? We are in search of that one unifying principle, pure science. What can unify the entire humanity? That is what our rishis had discovered ages ago in our Vedas, the Atman, Jnana-kanda. Now see, this is what I was saying. When Karma-kanda becomes dominant with raw reference to this Jnana-kanda, Jnana-kanda means that unifying principle, then the society begins to crumble. Once again, to unify the society, we have to bring back the knowledge of that unifying principle, which is the Atman. Every great teacher in the history has done it. Krishna did it, Buddha did it, Shankaracharya did it, Vivekananda did it. 500 years later, the next manifestation will do it. Society can be benefited, society can be regenerated only by this unifying principle of the Atman. It is Advaita, the true religion. This every Hindu should know. So that's why, as I said, the educated Hindus, they have to be re-educated. This is Swami Vivekananda's famous word. So let us not talk about universality first without becoming first individual. Let the Hindus first become individuals. Let there be some pride about who we are. Let there be some pride about our ancestors. Let there be some pride about the blood which is coursing in our veins. It is carrying the DNA of that Jnana-kanda, the Atman. It is there, only it needs to be awakened. This is what Vivekananda was trying to do it. What did he preach for the 9 years? Did he preach any personality? Nowhere. It was all the true nature of the human being. That is the true religion, which alone cuts across all the groups. Now see, today I just went to see the Vivekananda Smaraka, and I was told about the so-called the local tussle between different groups. I don't want to talk about it in details. We Hindus, how we are fragmented into different sects, and we Hindus are our own enemies. Why? We have lost sight of the Jnanakanda. If every sect of the Hindu, they know our unifying, we should know the common basis of Hinduism. There is one whole talk given by Swami Vivekananda, which is titled as Common Basis of Hinduism. Having sects is not a problem. Let there be thousands of sects, but we don't have to become sectarian. To form sects and to form group is a natural human tendency and behavior. That is perfectly fine. But let it not be at the cost of that unifying principle. Even when we are following the different ways of upasana and different ways of worshipping this deity and that deity, let us not forget that unifying principle. There is one unifying principle. When we lose sight of that, society breaks into different groups, and that is the history of last 1,000 years of India and Hinduism. Society fragmented, compartmentalized into so many sects fighting with each other, and invaders come and they rule us. Even today, it is the Hindu who is the enemy of the Hindu, because you just see so many institutions. No institution doesn't, every institution, it wants to live in its own cozy comfort zone. It doesn't want to shake hands with the next institution. We are all one. It is Vedas, it is Vaidika Dharma, no matter to which group you belong to. You can be a Shaiva, you can be a Shakta, you can be a Ganapatya, you can be anything. Doesn't matter. We are all one. Now, it is not only limited to Hindu Dharma. This vision spreads across the entire humanity. You can profess any faith you want. We are all one people. This is the vision of the Vedas. Unless we bring back this vision, which can unify the entire humanity. That is why I'm saying Hinduism alone can't do it. No monotheistic religion can do it. Let us be proud about this fact. Let us be little fanatic about this fact. No monotheistic religion can unify the entire world. It cannot. That is why Vivekananda said the only religion which can become a universal religion of the future humanity is this and this alone, the Vedic system of thought. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. What a beautiful idea. Vasudha eva kutumbakam. This entire human race is one family. On what basis? Can monotheism tell this? Anyone who don't believe or subscribe to their views, they are not wanted on this planet. Violence, bloodshed comes from all these narrow, exclusive, monotheistic, fanatic, dogmatic ideas. Hinduism doesn't have any of these traits. That is why Hinduism is the greatest. It is this Vaidika Dharma alone which can unify the entire humanity. And now that is the connection between Hindu Dharma, regeneration of Hindu Dharma and regeneration of India. And when Hinduism and India gets regenerated, the entire world is going to be benefited. It is this Vaidika Dharma which alone can speak the language of peace and love. We have never hurt anybody in our history. Even today we are not doing it. So as I said, we should stop talking about secularism without first knowing our own dharma. Let us first know our own dharma, then you will stop talking about secularism. We don't have to get the lessons of secularism from other systems. We are born with that idea. I always feel, we don't feel anyone to be a stranger. No one. It's so natural. Every Hindu baby, it drinks the spirit from the mother's milk. Even our parents have not told us. It is there, we breathe it. We never feel that anyone is an enemy. But there are other groups. For them, they are tutored. They are brainwashed to believe that anyone who doesn't profess their faith, they are all enemies, and they need to be either converted or decimated or finished. Look into the India's history. It has happened. We have lost so much of our land, and it is going on. Even today it is going on. If Hindus don't wake up now, be ready for another breaking. How did this India get partitioned? Because of this evil. And further partitioning will happen if Hindus don't stand up united. We are inviting our downfall. by not remaining united. All this small factionalism, sectarianism, I am Shaiva, I am this, I am that, I follow this God. No, we are all the followers of Brahman. Please understand this. Every Hindu should understand we are all following Brahman and Brahman alone. These personalities are just small doorways to reach Brahman. Everybody is doing upasana on Brahman. Please understand this point. That is the unifying principle. You can't be a Shaiva, you can't be a Shakta, we are all one. Please understand this point and stop bickering over these petty things. If we stand united, Hinduism will be saved, Hindu society will be saved, India will be saved, and if Hinduism in India is saved, humanity will be saved. Because this message of peace, no one else has got it. It is only in Vedika Dharma and Vedika Dharma alone. So, when we talk about this regenerating Hinduism, one thing, I am going to tell certain things. Why should India not be a Hindu state? I always this question. And why are we so timid to talk about it? Why? You know what? That poison of secularism is there in our head. It is just imagine, we are 1 billion people and we don't have our own house. Other faiths, they have got 50 countries belong to a particular faith, openly declaring we are that. 80 countries belonging to another faith, openly declaring we are that. 1 billion people on this planet, we don't have a land to say that it is ours. They were born 1400 years back, 2000 years back. This Aryaputras, Aryan race have been living here from timeless past. We don't have a formal state to say that it belongs to us. Secularism, this poison of secularism, how it works, I don't know. I'm just throwing certain ideas before all of us. This should be a Vaidika Dharma state. Why would anyone even have a doubt about it? Because we don't have pride about it. This absence of pride. I always say Vivekananda's Chicago address, 11 September 1893. What was it? It was an explosion of the Hindu pride. I don't know whether you have read it very carefully. Every sentence was an explosion of the Hindu pride. You just read it carefully. The first sentence, the second sentence, the last sentence, every sentence was the pride in two things, Hindu Dharma and Bharatvarsha. He exploded on the humanity on that day and made the humanity sit up and listen to him and understand the glory of Hindu Dharma and India. Because if Hindu Dharma and India survive, the world will survive. Otherwise, we see what's happening in the different countries. It's all hooliganism. It's all might is right kind of a philosophy which works all over the world. Where is love? Where is acceptance? See, I'm talking from the Hindu standpoint. Hinduism has got only one message. It's of love, universal love. Love coming from that Atmadrashti. Everybody is divine. Hindus have to understand this point. So today, as I said, if an occasion comes, this state, this country should be formally declared to be a Hindu land. And Hinduism should be taught in our schools and colleges. I always keep on telling, many times we had so much of discussion with Revered Muktidananda Maharaj. Hours of discussion we used to have in Advaita Ashrama. And I always see this so-called co-curriculum or parallel. Why parallel? It should be the mainstream striving. Our dharma, Upanishads, yoga, this should be taught in the mainstream. Children should grow up with the idea of Shivoham, Shivoham. That is the true religion. Not any personality centered. It is Om. Swami Vivekananda mentions this point. Om, bring back that Om. Om is the basis, the common basis of all the sects which we have in this country. Not one personality, it is the principle. Vaidika Dharma, Hindu Dharma is essentially based upon principle, not personalities. Personalities come and go. Let us understand this point very clearly. What unifies the entire Hindu society or India is the principle. It is the Atman, it is the Brahman. This should be understood very. So next time when I say that, oh, I am the follower of this person. No, we are all follower of Brahman only. Let every Hindu understand this point. You may be doing a certain kind of an upasana. You are moving towards your own true nature, which is Atman, which is Brahman. There is no other meaning to that practice. So this we should understand, that Hinduism should be taught in our schools. And Hindus, please, I request, I don't know, this is recorded. Through this recording, I would appeal to every Hindu all over the world. Every Hindu should celebrate every Hindu festival. Temples and rituals, celebrations, festivals. These are all great, great things, which preserves this great culture and heritage. So actually, Hindu Dharma is a combination of Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. Again, let me going back. It is not that Karma Kanda doesn't have a place. Karma Kanda is very important. But what is dangerous is when Jnana Kanda disappears and only Karma Kanda dominates, that is the beginning of the downfall. What is needed is a perfect balance between Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Karma Kanda with the balance of Jnana Kanda. Karma Kanda with the Atma Drishti is the most beautiful religious life. Shankaracharya says in his Gita Bhashya, so beautiful. Pravritti Lakshana Dharma and Nivritti Lakshana Dharmascha. When there is a perfect balance between these two tendencies, one is tendencies towards karma and the other is towards the jnana. This balance is what makes the individual healthy, this balance makes the society healthy, and this is what makes the entire humanity healthy. A perfect balance between these two, energies manifesting or expressing itself in two different directions. There has to be a balance. Minus Jnana Kandam, minus the so-called Atma Drishti, only Karma Kanda is the doorway to degeneration and destruction. So all the great masters have revived Hinduism through stressing this Jnana Kandam or bringing this Jnana Kandam into our so-called Karma Kandic life. Without this Jnana Kandam, this Karma Kanda becomes the doorway of all evil. So one last point, I will just, it's already time is over. We can go on and on and on. The philosophy. As I said, in society, not many times, it has happened in the past. It is happening now. It will happen in the future also. Evil masquerades as good. Evil even masquerades as religion, faiths. We should be able to distinguish between what is genuine and what is evil. And when we know it is an evil, we should have the strength to handle that evil the way it deserves to be handled. Actually, religion is only one religion. According to, if you read Vivekananda properly, the only true religion is the religion of manliness. Only true religion is the religion of strength. Only true religion is the religion of bravery. Sometimes religion can make us weak. If religion is making you weak, then there is something seriously wrong with it. Religion cannot make the human being weak. If it is not making you strong as an individual connected with the divine, then something is seriously wrong. The only religion, the true religion, is the religion of manliness, not of cowardice. The only true religion is the religion of strength, and this manliness not in a gender sense. Manliness is a state of the mind. I'm not talking about man-woman kind of a gender distinction. Manliness is that wonderful spirit of the soul which can dare to stand for truth. That is the only true religion. And that is the religion of the Upanishads, that is the religion of the Vedas. Swami Vivekananda was the one person who would hate cowardice. So whenever, just imagine, I always say this point, country is attacked, our dharma is attacked, our people are attacked, no one even opens their mouth. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? And most funny thing, you can see, our Hindus, they are very secular people, modern English educated people. They will burn candles for somebody dying in Gaza, but our own people being massacred here, they won't open their mouths. Delusion cannot go farther actually. They would burn candles for somebody dying in Gaza. I'm not saying that person dying in Gaza is not important. Every human life is important. Everybody is equally dying. But why are we so confused? When our own people are massacred, nobody wants to open its mouth. First, Hindus will have to learn to defend themselves against all kinds of, atrocities committed by certain groups of people. For that we have to stand united. See, we are talking about regenerating this group. Again, I'm telling this is very important, not from the fanatic standpoint, because we are the only people, we don't have hatred for anybody. But not having hatred for anybody doesn't mean that we have to be foolish. Let us not surrender our common sense at the altar of religious superstition. Common sense should proceed from the Atman vision, and then you decide how to handle every situation. Sri Ma's beautiful teaching, I always say that is the best teaching of Sri Ma. In Bengali, she says, Jekhane Jaimon, Shekhane Temon, Jar Jaimon, Tar Temon, Jokhon Jaimon, Tokhon Temon. What a beautiful teaching. She was talking about the pure religion of the Upanishads, the brave picture, how we are going to handle different situations. In every situation, your response cannot be same. Somebody says, no, we have to be non-violent in all the situations. It is foolishness. When the country is attacked, when the honor of our sisters and mothers are in danger, you will talk about ahimsa. Situations will demand different kinds of responses. That response should come from the Atman vision. You should know how to respond to it. Our community has to be defended. Our religion has to be defended. This country has to be defended. If Hindu Dharma survives, India will survive. The true India will survive. And if Hindu Dharma and India will survive, humanity will be saved. Because this is the only Dharma which speaks the true language of love. It doesn't speak, it lives it. We have only love in our hearts. We have no hatred for anybody. Let us tell this openly. That is why Hindu Dharma is the only true Dharma. So, my dear devotees, this can go on and on. There's no end to it. And when I was coming here, first of all, I have to once again thank revered Muktidarji Maharaj, because he knows what is so very dear to me. Because when he was in Advaita Ashrama, we used to discuss this subject so much, all these issues, and Maharaj also used to share wonderful ideas about. But dear brothers and sisters, I'm telling, this is a very sensitive thing, very important thing. If we Hindus don't stand united, be ready for getting massacred. It is happening right beneath our nose, I'm telling you. If this thought system survives, India will survive. And if this thought system and India survive, the world will be benefited. Because we alone believe and we alone live the life of love and acceptance. Thank you so much. Once again, I thank Revered Muktidananda Maharaj for having given me this chance. And let us strive in our own small ways to let us have some pride about who we are. That is the first thing. Swami Vivekananda was the proudest Hindu ever born. He was the proudest Hindu ever born. Let us have a little bit, a fragment of that pride in ourselves. Let us become individuals before becoming universal. That is the main point. Thank you so much.